Good afternoon, YouTube. Today I want to talk with you a little bit about the problem that we have been facing throughout this week, and that is the rising of the Wet'suwet'en Nation against essentially what I think is the whole of Canada. Many of you have been following the stories as I have been, and if you've been following it by now, you know that this group function as a way to block the pipeline, but it's much more serious than that because they are engaging in hostility with multiple targets all at once throughout the country. So we'll start by the blockade of CN Rail, as you can see here. What I want to ask, the question that I am asking is, who is responsible for this group, the allowance of this group to attain the power to stop a CN Rail train from getting to its destination? Many of you who don't know, CN is responsible for transporting things like food, like oil, like products for the stores and so on, for consumer purchase and so on. The list of what those cars contain is the life's blood of this country. And essentially, to hinder its activity is attack on the country itself. So you can label it like CN faces a pseudo-crisis from a group that is under the pretense of, you can call it apology politics, to attain so much power that they can actually infiltrate and disturb and block the business of this country. But it's much deeper than that, because this group is relatively untouchable. You can say that they're a group of untouchable people. I looked when they interfered in the day's activities in Calgary. They blocked Memorial Drive and Edmonton Trail, you could say, blocking both lanes, and they were doing a circle protest, something like that, chanting, if you will. The police were powerless to stop them and to remove them from the area. Why? Here again you see the Rcmp is powerless to stop them, so to speak. And my question is, who gave authority to this group to circumvent the law? If the Rcmp cannot establish order, I call them a terrorist group, because they operate with impunity, and also they think themselves above the law, or they circumvent the law on the pretense of, say, let's go, environmental radicalism and extremism. So I'm looking at this. Who is the one responsible for granting that kind of authority? It cannot be that a single group can have that much power. And I'm looking at them, they seem to be ready for war against Canada. You could compare them like a virus for Canada, essentially. What they do is they come in under the pretense of protection, say they live under our protection, under our grace, our charity, and in the meantime they themselves grow stronger and stronger, and they live in impunity, and each day they grow, they work to undermine our society, our way of life, and here's the proof. They attack CN Rail. It's an attack on all Canadians. The infrastructure that is necessary to run this nation cannot be disturbed or inhibited in any way, and it should be proclaimed by law that they should not have that kind of authority, even under the protests, under the guise of protests, to protect the environment. Far too many times I've heard and I've seen that the environment is the pretense for these groups to get more and more radicalized, more violent, more bold in their maneuvers to essentially destroy our country, destroy business, destroy infrastructure, and destroy Canadians' way of life here. Essentially, one cannot underestimate the severity and the danger of this group because of the way that they behave with impunity. Never forget that the RCMP and the police seem to be helpless at this moment to put these people under control, because no matter what, your freedom has limits. You have freedom in this country, but you should not push beyond the limits of freedom that cause damage to other people conducting their affairs, right? So I look at them and I ask the question, who granted these people that authority? Why has the situation not come to a close immediately? It's already dragging on a week. Time is precious. You cannot keep allowing this group to function as a way of chaos that undermine the country, and they keep growing and they become more powerful and more dangerous. Put them down now. Essentially, the RCMP, right or wrong, it is irrelevant. What they're doing is and should be illegal, and it cannot keep continuing that kind of activity that hinder and destroy the infrastructure that supports all Canadian people. So essentially, I wanted to bring it to your attention because I fear this group already has too much power and intent on growing. I even heard that they occupied for 11 days a politician's office in protest. It means that this group, there is no limit to how much damage that they can inflict on Canada. And it's extremely dangerous and precarious for a group like that to operate with impunity above the law. And it cannot be. It should not exist. Let the police, let the Trudeau government put them down now. It doesn't matter which way they have them arrested, they move them, but put down the mob right away, immediately. Don't let this thing drag on and talk it out and try to figure out who is to blame for the problem and who is the one to resolve the problem. Put them down. Put them anywhere, but put them down. Essentially, that group cannot operate with impunity to essentially attack Canada. Right? Each day that they're continuing their activity is another day of progress, of growing for them to become more powerful and more radicalized. Canada should not act as though we are helpless and let some body destroy the country just on the pretense of indigenous, so-called indigenous bias, you could say, or political bias towards the indigenous is better. They do not operate above our law, the rule of law in this country, and they should be put down like a terrorist group, because that's the way that they behave. So I thank you for your time and your attention. This one is a case that I will be making several videos of, and I will follow them very closely. They are a group that in our time is an impediment to our freedom as Canadian, impediment. So thank you for your time and attention. Bye-bye.